The Admiral raised his glass and smiled for the cameras. Humanity's Thunder-Soul project, he said, letting the name draw laughter from the chamber. A gravestone with engines. The council hall gleamed like a cathedral of mirrors. 10 species gathered under gold banners, light refracting from crystal pillars. Every diplomat applauded on cue. Behind them, feeds displayed the human ship's dry dock image. A dark hull, bulky, crude, built on design templates 2 centuries old. They weld iron like it's religion, said the Varan delegate, spines rippling in amusement. Primitive even by their standards. Relics with delusions of relevance, replied the Admiral. They name it Thunder-Soul because they believe poetry compensates for physics. The crowd laughed again, synchronized and practiced. Across the floor, drones recorded the performance for broadcast. He gestured toward the holographic projection hovering above the dais. Data scrolled in elegant script. Mass 3.7 megatons. Armor thickness absurd by modern doctrine. No energy dispersal grid detected. A museum artifact, he declared. A gravestone they'll ride to their own extinction. The applause was automatic. From the upper gallery, a junior officer whispered to his colleague, "Why build such a thing?" To prove they still can, came the answer. Retention spike. They never understood why humans built things that could not be forgiven. The Admiral turned toward the broadcast drone. "File this under public morale." The frontier worlds need reassurance that humanity has accepted irrelevance. Aid bots wheeled closer, adjusting microphone gain. "Sir, the humans requested observer rights at the Viral Gate." He smiled thinly. "Let them watch. A relic deserves a front row seat at its own wake." He walked through the corridor lined with banners of the victorious fleets, each embroidered with campaigns where humans had once fought beside them. None bore the human emblem anymore. The last Alliance seal had been struck from record 56 years prior. "Prepare the demonstration fleet," he ordered. 10,000 ships, full formation. If they insist on parading their relic, the galaxy will attend its funeral. His adjutant hesitated. "Do you expect resistance?" The Admiral chuckled. "From a single ship? Their kinetic weapons move slower than our data streams. Their armor's obsolete. Their crews biological. No one fears the past." He paused before the viewport. Outside, 1,000 ships drifted in symmetrical rows, hulls gleaming in the white light of the gate's twin stars. Precision incarnate. The pride of the conquered. "Record this too," he said to the drone. "History will note that on this date, the last human attempt at parody ended before it began." Behind him, holo displays tracked the human vessel's slow approach from Earth space. Estimated arrival 6 days. Range 1.2 light years. The Admiral raised his glass again, voice soft. "They name it after thunder. But thunder only follows lightning." He turned back to the room. "And we, my friends, have long since learned to live above storms." The chamber erupted in polite laughter one final time, echoing off cold marble and mirrored glass. Far below, hidden in the static between channels, an unnoticed data packet pinged from human space. Encrypted, pulse-timed, Slibrit. The Admiral never saw it. He dismissed the feed and ended the session. "Send the footage to the network," he said. "Let the galaxy see how mercy looks upon the obsolete." Outside, the twin stars flared briefly, 2 points of light reflecting across the silent void where the Thunder-Soul would soon emerge. The Admiral turned away before the brightness reached his eyes. The void rippled once, then tore open like a black sea splitting under unseen pressure. Out of that fracture slid the HSS Thunder-Soul, a dark shape gliding without flare or fanfare, her wake collapsing behind her as if the universe refused to admit she'd arrived. On the Concord staging field, 10,000 ships paused mid-pattern. Their gold lattices flickered in confusion. The dreadnought's mass registered. 3.7 megatons, hull temperature steady at 274 Kelvin, drive output minimal. To the Council observers, it looked inert. To its crew, it was perfect stillness. On the human bridge, Commander Rhea Kaur stood at the viewport, her hands clasped behind her back. The crew of 49 worked in calm rhythm. No raised voices, no ceremony. Each system check clicked green on holo screens lined with silver light. "Warp bleed contained," said Lieutenant Asher. "No residual radiation. All reactors stable at 70%. "Hold that output," Kaur replied. "We make no show here." The comms filled with alien chatter, polite hostility layered in diplomatic phrasing. Human vessel, this is Concord Command. You have entered restricted tactical space. Submit to inspection. Core's voice was level. Negative. Observation rights per Article 12 remain valid. We hold position. Laughter came back in chorus, the sound filtered through dozens of translators. Article 12 applies to recognized powers. She didn't answer. The crew didn't look up. Retention spike. Discipline looks like silence to those who've forgotten it. The Thunder-Soul drifted, a mountain among clouds of gold and glass. Beneath her armored hull, faint markings glowed. Serials, repair stencils, years of refit etched like battle scars. Every plate carried memory. Every seam had been tested in vacuum and war. On the Concord flagship, Admiral Varys watched the feed. Primitive, he said. No active shields, no escort, and they refuse inspection. His aide nodded. Orders? Let them sit. They'll learn humility soon enough. Back on the human bridge, Lieutenant Asher monitored incoming scans. They're painting us with full spectrum sweeps. Energy flux peaking. Good, Core said. Let them look. They'll see exactly what we want them to see. A pause. And what is that, ma'am? An old ghost with steady hands. The deck hummed under low power cycles. Engines idled at 1% thrust, compensating for gravitational pull from the gate's twin stars. Distance to the nearest Concord vessel, 5,000 kilometers. Relative drift 0. Core turned to the comms officer. Send courtesy ping non-encrypted. Phrase it simple. The officer nodded and transmitted. Non-hostile observer maintaining distance. No inspection required. No reply came, only a rising wave of static, then an open broadcast across all channels. Behold the human's pride, a commentator sneered, voice echoing through the fleet. A relic defying relevance. Core's jaw tightened, but her tone didn't change. Mark that recording, she said. File it under doctrine compliance. Around her, the bridge lights dimmed to stand by. Each officer settled into measured quiet. Their calm wasn't defiance, it was control. Outside, the Thunder-Soul rotated slowly, orienting its scarred prow toward the virile gate. The reflected starlight traced a faint blue edge across its armor, revealing the words Thunder-Soul Project. Prototype 001. Sensors from a dozen alien ships tried to penetrate the plating. Data returned blank. Commander, Asher said, they're deploying escort drones. 40 units approaching. Weapons unarmed but tracking. Log distance. Current, 2,000 kilometers and closing. Transmit again. The comm burst through the void. Inspection denied. We will not comply. The drones halted. For the first time, the Concorde fleet hesitated. Retention microspike. Refusal is a weapon when spoken without anger. Core studied the main viewport. Beyond it, the gate shimmered. Massive, circular, alive with the heartbeat of civilization. She saw beauty in it, but not peace. Maintain station, she said. Engines idle. Weapons cold. Let their arrogance exhaust itself. The Thunder-Soul hung there like a planet refusing orbit, unmoved, patient. The galaxy's laughter dimmed beneath its shadow. The first shot came without warning. One flash, one line of searing light crossing the void. It struck the HSS Thunder-Soul amidships, vanishing into her armor like rain swallowed by dust. No explosion followed, no fire, only a soft ripple of ionized mist drifting away. On the human bridge, no one flinched. Impact confirmed, said Lieutenant Asher, tone level. Thermal spike within parameters. Outer mesh at 1372K. Damage? Commander Rhea Core asked. 91% absorbed through ablative mesh, 9% diffused into plasma vents. Log it, Core replied. Maintain posture. Across the Concord formation, disbelief spread faster than data. The beam should have vaporized the dreadnought in a single strike. Instead, the ship floated through the afterglow like it hadn't noticed. Admiral Varys watched from his flagship, knuckles whitening around his glass. Impossible. Their armor can't process coherent energy at that magnitude. His aide hesitated. The data says otherwise, sir. A second volley fired. 12 converging lances, precision-timed. The Thunder-Soul took them all. Heat shimmered along her hull, color blooming from red to white before cooling again. Exhaust vents opened in rhythmic pulses, releasing vaporized residue like a sigh. Retention spike. They struck with light. Humanity answered with silence. Outer mesh holding at 91% efficiency, Asher reported. Internal temperature stable. Power feedback converted. Reactors up 4.1%. Core nodded. Feed excess to magnetic capacitors. Begin charge cycle. Outside, the Concorde ships repositioned in confusion. Fleet AI models recalculated yield curves, none reaching a logical conclusion. Commentators across 1,000. Broadcasts struggled to describe what they saw. Phrases like material anomaly, unregistered defense field, and finally, impossible physics. Core stood unmoving, hands clasped behind her back. Broadcast telemetry to Earth Command, she said. Include raw efficiency data. Let them know the doctrine holds. A tremor of static filled the bridge as conquered channels opened again. Admiral Varus's voice carried through, stripped of its earlier humor. Human vessel Thunder-Soul, respond. You are in violation of Peace Code 9. Identify your shielding technology. Core looked at the speaker grill. Physics, she said simply. On the flagship, Varus's mandibles twitched. You mock us? No, she answered, her voice calm. We learn. Another volley came. This one heavier, 60 megaton yield. Multi-frequency beams overlapping. The hull flared like a second sun. For 6 full seconds, the Thunder-Soul disappeared inside the light. When it cleared, the dreadnought was still there. Scarred, glowing faintly. Alive. Commander, Asher said quietly. Surface loss minimal. Armor replenishing from reserves. Core exhaled once. Good. Don't return fire. Not yet. The bridge dimmed as systems rerouted power. Every pulse of residual heat became energy, feeding the engines, the rails, the coils. The dreadnought was drinking in its own punishment. Retention microspike. 91% absorbed, 9% diffused. Zero fear. Conquered fleet chatter spiraled into chaos. Reports contradicted each other, captains arguing over sensors. Some claimed illusion, others sabotage. None could, except that the gravestone with engines had just rewritten their understanding of war. Inside the human ship, the crew remained silent. The hum of cooled metal was the only applause. Commander, Asher said, they're broadcasting a public feed. Billions are watching. Let them, Core replied. Truth travels faster than beams. Admiral Varus leaned toward his display, fury replacing arrogance. Human vessel, stand down or we will escalate to kinetic yield. Core's tone stayed even. Your choice, Admiral. We measure consequences precisely. The channel cut. Outside, the Thunder-Soul rotated a fraction of a degree, its armor shedding the last of the absorbed light as thin streams of vapor. The movement was slow, deliberate, like a wolf turning its head toward prey that had just realized what it was. Reactor load? She asked. 89% and climbing. Then let them fire again, Core said. Every strike feeds the storm. The bridge fell silent. Beyond the viewport, the stars blinked against the shadow of the dreadnought, unchanged, unshaken, absorbing everything the galaxy could throw. The hum began in the bones of the ship. At first it was faint, a vibration like distant thunder passing through steel. Then it deepened, steady, alive, a heartbeat that belonged to something built for judgment. Commander Rhea Core stood motionless at the viewport. The HSS Thunder-Soul hung between twin stars, her hull black and gleaming with residual heat. Around her, the conquered fleet glimmered in perfect arcs, 10,000 ships, all aimed inward, waiting for their final command. They're repositioning, said Lieutenant Asher. Kinetic batteries online. Estimated salvo in 60 seconds. Understood, Core replied. Initiate engine cycle. Deep within the hull, fusion chambers roared awake. Magnetic thrusters aligned, pushing containment fields to critical. Numbers rolled up the console in red. Velocity target, Mach 22. Outside, the ship's aft glowed pale orange, haloed in vapor. The dreadnought moved, not fast, not dramatic, but deliberate. Space folded beneath its mass, drive cones shedding plasma arcs like slow lightning. Acceleration nominal, Asher reported. Trajectory, direct vector toward central formation. Good, Core said. Align rail batteries 1 through 12. Set penetration depth 200 meters. We target their command line, not the stragglers. Retention spike. The wolf does not snarl. It closes distance. The Concorde fleet reacted too late. Algorithms designed for elegant warfare failed to comprehend raw speed from a ship they'd dismissed as obsolete. Targeting grids lagged behind. Formation geometry fractured. Range closing 4,000 kilometers, Asher called out. Core's voice didn't rise. Mark it. The first salvo from the Thunder-Soul was silent. 12 tungsten slugs released at 20 times the speed of sound, each the length of a shuttle, each wrapped in plasma sheath. They crossed the gap in under a second. Impact telemetry bloomed on screen. Time. Euro 001. Target. Flagship. Yield. 18.4 gigatons. The Concorde command ship disintegrated, vaporized from mid-deck to reactor core. Its escort vessels collided as debris scattered in geometric arcs. 3 ships destroyed, Asher said. Secondary detonations across Line 4. Continue fire, Core ordered. 6 more rounds launched. Mach 22 velocity, minimal recoil. Each slug traveled with surgical precision, punching through hulls as if space itself guided them. Commander, enemy return fire offline, said communications. They're still calculating what happened, Core replied. The Thunder-Soul rolled 30 degrees starboard, thrusters blooming pale white. Hull plating reflected flashes of dying ships across her armor, tiny suns winking out one after another. Retention microspike. They called it a gravestone it learned to hunt. At the fleet's edge, the timer began at 0. No warning, no speech. Just a single word from Commander Rhea Core. Begin. The HSS Thunder-Soul shifted posture, thrusters stabilizing at Mach 22. The rail batteries hummed like storm fronts rolling through metal. On the main display, 10,000 Concorde ships glowed as golden icons, each marked, categorized, prioritized. The Dreadnought's targeting matrix selected 9,000 of them in under 2 seconds. Fire control synchronized, said Lieutenant Asher. All rails primed. Duration window, 360 seconds. Core's voice remained calm. Execute. The void erupted. 12 magnetic rails discharged in waves, kinetic slugs screaming into black silence, each round moving faster than thought. No light, no heat bloom, only absence. Ships there one instant, gone the next. Telemetry scrolled. Time, 0015, 211 confirmed kills. Time, 0042, 893 confirmed kills. Time, 0130, 2004 confirmed kills. Retention spike. Mathematics became vengeance wearing discipline's face. Each impact was cataloged, mapped, logged, mass, vector, energy yield. The data streamed back to Earth Command in real time. Every death rendered as numbers, not emotion. Enemy response? Core asked. Fragmented. They're scattering. Command relays gone. Then keep recording, she said. History deserves precision. By the second minute, the Thunder-Soul's kinetic pattern resembled a storm of geometry. Spiral firing arcs, calculated ricochets, deflection curves that turned debris into additional projectiles. Whole subfleets vanished under intersecting trajectories. On the conquered flagship Aurelian, Admiral Varas clawed at the console. They're not aiming, he shouted. They're computing collapse fields. His aides didn't answer. Their ship's hull was already evaporating into particles. Time. Or 2:59, 5,031 ships destroyed. Inside the human dreadnought, the bridge glowed cold blue, every console awash in scrolling data. Crew spoke only in numbers. Recoil dampers stable. Core temperature within bounds. Rails 3 and 7 at 98% cycle. Continue pattern, Core ordered. Maintain 6-minute limit. Outside, the void shimmered with fragments, the ruins of arrogance drifting like ash across starlight. Human projectiles traced faint vapor paths through metallic dust. Retention microspike. 6 minutes to erase an empire's laughter. By minute 4, the Concorde's once perfect formation was chaos. Ships colliding, reactors breaching, shield harmonics collapsing. Some captains fired blindly into the dark, others transmitted surrender codes no one could hear. Time 0412, Asher said. Secondary detonations across sectors D through H. Count? 7,600 and rising. Continue, Core replied. End at 9. Her voice never rose. Her pulse never changed. At 05:01 the final phase began. Auxiliary guns activated in a seamless chain, spitting smaller tungsten rounds into the retreat vectors of fleeing vessels. The impacts came so fast they overlapped, a rhythm of thunder with no air to carry it. Time, 05:47, 8904 ships neutralized. Commander, Asher said, targets depleting. We're approaching 9,000. Confirm the record. Telemetry locked, all strikes verified. Core studied the viewport. Where once 10,000 ships glowed gold, now only broken lights remained. Shattered hulls tumbling through the dark like falling embers. The timer reached 06 hours and froze. Cease fire, she said. Silence filled the bridge. Steam vented softly from rail coils. Sensors flickered, rebalancing from thermal haze. Final telemetry. Elapsed time, 06 triator minutes. Targets destroyed 9,003, efficiency 99.9%, retention spike, 9,006 minutes. One ship, one idea, no one spoke. The hum of cooling metal became the ship's heartbeat again. Commander, Asher said quietly, Council transmissions have ceased. Their networks collapsed. Core nodded. As expected. Orders? Power down rails. Begin debris scan. We'll collect what truth remains. The dreadnought drifted forward through the wreckage, its armor lit by the dim afterglow of extinguished civilizations. Shards of hull plating brushed against its magnetic field, glowing briefly before sliding away. Core watched the ruin without pride or pleasure. Mark all escape pods for retrieval, she said. We don't leave witnesses, we leave survivors. The crew obeyed, engines pulsing at minimal thrust. Data logs continued updating, each number a memorial. Outside, the Thunder-Soul slowed to silence, a single black shape among 9,000 ghosts. In the heart of the ship, the timer still read 360 seconds, and humanity's doctrine, patience, precision, mercy, had just rewritten the rules of power. The gun stopped mid-cycle. No malfunction, no hesitation, just a single order from Commander Rhea Core, cease fire. Across the Thunder-Soul, every railgun cooled in unison. The magnetic hum faded until only the soft tick of contracting metal remained. Outside, the battlefield was a graveyard of drifting hulls, 9,000 ships erased from geometry, their debris forming a silent ring around the gate. Confirmed disengagement, Core said. Confirmed, Asher replied. All rails cold. Reactor output steady at 40%. Then let them hear the law they've forgotten. She stepped toward the command dais. The comm lights pulsed green. Open channel to every surviving Concorde ship still transmitting. Her voice carried with surgical calm. This is Commander Rhea Core of the Terran vessel Thunder-Soul. Hostilities cease now. All remaining conquered forces will power down weapons, transmit medical distress signals, and prepare for tribunal review under Articles 10 and 12 of the Galactic War Charter. The statement spread through the void, repeated and translated across frequencies. For a long moment there was only static. Then broken voices filled the net. You demand trial after slaughter? Core's tone did not change. I demand law after arrogance, retention spike. Mercy without order is chaos. Order without mercy is tyranny. On the conquered flagship remnant, Admiral Vera stared at his cracked console, his voice barely above a whisper. You claim the charter you abandoned. We never abandoned it, Core said. You burned it. Her words echoed through open channels until the noise quieted. Sensors displayed something the galaxy had never seen. Concorde vessels voluntarily powering down their shields one after another, amber lights marking surrender. Report, she said. 38% compliance, Asher answered. Some still charging weapons. Record both groups, Core replied. The tribunal will remember who obeyed first. Outside, the Thunder-Soul glided through the wreckage at minimal thrust. Its hull reflected distant starlight and the flicker of surrender codes. Commander, the comm officer said softly. Council networks are broadcasting live. Billions are watching. Good, Core replied. Let them see discipline instead of revenge. She keyed a new channel, transmitting on wideband to every world capable of hearing. Humanity does not kill to cleanse. We strike to correct. We will stand trial beside those who fired first. But this record, will not be rewritten by those who believe mercy is weakness. The bridge fell into a long, steady silence. Crew members looked up from their consoles, not in pride but in understanding. Retention microspike. The doctrine ends where conscience begins. "Commander," Asher said, "the Concorde's emergency medships are signaling for corridor clearance." "Granted," Kor answered. "They'll recover their wounded under our watch." "Under our watch?" "Law applies to both sides." She stood at the viewport, arms folded, eyes on the endless field of wrecks. Each twisted frame glowed faintly against the dark, a constellation of regret and necessity. "Mark all escape pods for retrieval," she said quietly. "Assign escort drones. No one drifts alone." Orders logged. Far off, the first Concorde med shuttles emerged from debris shadows, cautious, lights dim. They approached the Terran dreadnought, expecting hostility, but met none. Docking fields opened for them, their passengers ushered to safety alongside captured crews. Admiral Varas watched it from his shattered bridge. "They fight like machines," he muttered, "and then they heal." On the Thunder-Soul, Kor closed her eyes for a moment and whispered, "Justice, not victory." The bridge lights dimmed to soft gold, battle color replaced by peace tone. Systems logged final entries, engagement complete, tribunal pending. Outside, the dreadnought floated among wreckage and surrender lights, silent, unthreatening, vast. The galaxy had seen conquest 1,000 times. It had never seen restraint this precise. The transmission reached the Council fleet 6 hours after the ceasefire. Encrypted, authenticated, impossible to ignore. Admiral Varas stared at the header. Source Terran Command, Doctrine Confirmation Phase 2. He opened it. A single image appeared. A crescent of black silhouettes rising from the far side of the gate's second moon. 63 at first glance, then the algorithm clarified. 73 confirmed hulls, all human. "All active, impossible," whispered his aide. "Their fleet registers show only one operational dreadnought." Varys's voice cracked. "They built an armada in shadow." Across the surviving Concorde vessels, the image spread like contagion. 73 ships emerging from darkness. No drive signatures, no thermal bleed, no light. Each vessel bore the same black iron plating as the Thunder-Soul, matte against the stars, unpainted and perfect. On the Thunder-Soul's bridge, Commander Rhea Kor watched their silent ascent from the viewport. "Phase 2 confirmed," reported Lieutenant Asher. "All vessels maintaining blackout discipline. Range 120,000 kilometers and closing." Kor nodded. "Hold positions. No weapons online. The point is revelation, not intimidation. Retention spike. Preparation is the quiet side of mercy." The hidden fleet aligned behind her ship, forming a crescent around the moon's edge. For 3 hours they had been waiting. Heat sunk, magnetically tethered to rock, engines frozen to near zero emission. Now they moved like a single organism awakened from centuries of sleep. "Broadcast to Concord," Kor ordered. "Visual only. No sound." Cameras shifted, capturing the dreadnought's rear perspective. 73 vessels gliding into sunlight, hulls catching the faint gold of the twin stars. Their shapes reflected off the Thunder-Soul's armor, a wall of silent witnesses. On the Concorde flagship, Varys's comm deck erupted in shouts.
"Sir, they've surrounded us."
"No," Varas said quietly. "They're showing us how long we've been surrounded. Retention microspike. They called us relics. We built ghosts instead." Council command relays lit up across the galaxy. Analysts tried to trace the construction data. None existed. No supply chains. No dockyards. Just absence. The conclusion terrified them more than the fleet itself. Humanity hadn't rearmed. It had hidden in plain sight. On the Thunder-Soul, Kor stood unmoved. "Send message 2, she said. "Text only, no embellishment. Doctrine of Shadows established Day 1. Phase 2 complete. Humanity does not gamble." The message propagated through every surviving Concord channel. It would be replayed across the galaxy within minutes. Asher broke the silence. "CouncilNet shows panic. Multiple governments issuing statements." "Expected," Kor said. "Fear precedes reform." The secondary fleet slowed, forming a shield formation. 73 black diamonds eclipsing the stars. Their ID transponders came online simultaneously, one word each. Custodian 1 through Custodian 73. Commander, said Asher. Earth Command requests we make the next move. No, she replied. We've already moved. They just caught up. Beyond the window, the ships maintained perfect symmetry, distances precise to the meter. No flourish, no overt aggression, merely presence. Varys finally opened a channel, his voice rough. You planned this from the beginning. Kor's face appeared on his monitor, calm and sharp in silver light. Doctrine of response requires endurance, not display. We knew you'd mock, and we knew when to stop letting you. He stared at her in silence. You've won more than a war. Winning was never the intent, she said. Correction was. Varys lowered his gaze. Then what happens now? Kor answered softly. Now the galaxy learns restraint. She signaled her fleet. One by one, the 73 vessels powered down their main drives, their silhouettes blending again into the void. Sensors registered only faint magnetic traces, then nothing. The ghosts returned to sleep. On the Thunder-Soul, the lights dimmed. Phase 2 archived, Asher reported. Kor exhaled slowly. Prepare for reconstruction talks. The doctrine has served its purpose. Outside, the crescent faded back into the shadow of the moon, leaving the void unchanged yet forever altered. The storm began without thunder, only motion. From the shadowed moon, the 73 custodian ships ignited their drives, light spilling across the black like a slow sunrise. Their purpose was not conquest now, but rescue. Humanity's second fleet had entered the void, carrying orders older than vengeance. Status? Commander Rhea Kor asked, eyes on the tactical sphere. Secondary fleets deployed, Asher replied. 73 custodians, 2 auxiliary convoys, evacuation target 24 million civilians. Escort formation Delta, Kor said. Prioritize orbital habitats first. No stray fire. The void around the Thunder-Soul was still thick with drifting wreckage and dying reactors. Beyond, the Concord's remaining batteries continued to fire sporadically, blinded by chaos, unable to distinguish enemy from ally. Humanity moved through it all with measured precision. Commander, came the comms voice from Custodian 12. We have multiple civilian transports under bombardment in Sector Gamma 7. Redirect our defensive grid. Rails offline? Point defense only, Kor ordered. Cover them with our hull. The dreadnought turned deliberately, placing its armor between the transports and the incoming barrage. Plasma streaks hammered the plates, but none broke through. The human ship did not fire back. Retention spike. Mercy wears armor too. Across the sector, the custodian fleet split into rescue vectors. Drone tugs extended magnetic corridors, guiding evacuation shuttles through debris storms. Each human warship carried medpods, ration bays, and hangar decks repurposed for refugees. Within minutes, the operation became choreography. Violence on one side, salvation on the other. Telemetry scrolled. Evac progress. 3.2 m extracted engagement losses. 0.0% duration. 17 minutes Kor watched the numbers rise. Maintain threshold velocity. We finish this before they recover coordination. Acknowledged, Asher said. On a council cruiser still intact, an alien officer stared in disbelief at his feed. They're rescuing civilians under our own guns, he whispered. His captain shook his head. They're not rescuing. They're teaching. Retention microspike. Precision is mercy scaled to a fleet. By the second hour, the war zone began to empty. Orbital colonies once ringed with fire now fell quiet, as shuttles poured toward human transports. Docking arms extended like open hands. Wreckage drifted between them, glowing faintly in the reflected light of humanity's rescue engines. Evacuation count 19.4 million, Asher reported. Estimated completion in 26 minutes. Continue extraction, Kor said. No vessels left behind. The Thunder-Soul's hull was scorched, its starboard plating dented from glancing impacts, but its course never wavered. The dreadnought moved through the burning sky with the steadiness of judgment fulfilled. On the Council relay network, 1,000 eyes watched the spectacle unfold, the fleet they had mocked now escorting their people to safety. The tone of the broadcasts changed from derision to silence, and finally, awe. The Thunder-Soul drifted among wreckage and surrender lights, her rails dark, her hangars open. The war was finished, but the work had just begun. Inside the medbay, silence ruled. Rows of biobeds stretched from bulkhead to bulkhead, some holding humans, others aliens with scaled or translucent skin. The air smelled of antiseptic and ozone. Machines pulsed in rhythm, shared heartbeat between species. Casualty intake complete, reported Lieutenant Asher. 2,087 non-human survivors, 500 Terran. All stabilized, Commander Riacor nodded. Initiate Mercy Protocol. No segregation by origin, rank, or uniform. Med drones floated between the wounded. A Varan soldier twitched as plasma burns cooled beneath human nanogel. Nearby, a human engineer with shattered ribs winced while an alien medic adjusted his vitals. The line between enemy and ally had evaporated. Retention spike. After fury comes the discipline that defines it. At the bay's far end, a Concord officer regained consciousness. His uniform was torn, crest melted. When he saw the Terran insignia above him, his eyes filled with dread.
"Why?" he rasped.
"Why save me?" Kor approached, her tone measured. "Because you're evidence." He stared at her in disbelief. "Of what?" "That restraint isn't weakness," she said. "It's civilization." Her words echoed across the deck as if the ship itself repeated them. Elsewhere, med teams worked in quiet unity. The ship's logs recorded every treatment, every transfusion, every life saved. Data transmitted live to Concord Command to prevent revisionism. Mercy documented in real time. "Commander," Asher said softly. Broadcast channels reopened. The Concord civilian networks are watching. "They're calling this the Day of Restraint." "Then let them learn the meaning," Kor replied. "Send our triage protocols to their hospitals. Full open source release, even theirs? Especially theirs. Retention microspike. Mercy is contagious when precision makes it undeniable." The alien officer on the bed swallowed. "Your mercy shames us," Kor met his gaze. Then it worked. She turned toward the viewport. Outside, the custodian fleet was still at work. Repair drones patching crippled hulls. Tug lines pulling debris aside to clear safe lanes for evacuation convoys. Above them, the twin suns broke through the smoke, painting the shattered gate in gold. "Status of evac?" she asked. 24 million accounted for, Asher replied. "No loss of civilian life under our escort." Kor allowed herself one breath of relief. Then humanity can stand down with its conscience intact. Varys's transmission came through without ceremony. His voice was low, humbled. "Commander Kor, the Council requests an immediate summit. They wish to discuss integration of your doctrine of response." "Doctrine doesn't need adoption," she said quietly. "Only observation." The line stayed open a long moment before he answered. "Then we'll observe." Kor ended transmission and turned back to the med bay. One of the younger medics paused, staring at a wounded alien whose skin pattern shimmered like liquid glass. "Ma'am," the medic said, "should we mark prisoners?" Kor shook her head. "No prisoners remain."
"Only survivors." She walked through the rows slowly, boots silent against steel, eyes steady on the living rather than the lost.
Every motion on that deck carried purpose, not pride. Outside the viewport, the stars shone again through thinning dust. Cold, clean, indifferent. The Thunder-Soul floated between them like judgment rendered and forgiven in the same breath. Retention close. Humanity's victory wasn't the destruction. It was what came after. Kor clasped her hands behind her back, gaze fixed on the faint shimmer of medical lights spilling into the dark. "Begin post-conflict coordination," she said. "Send aid to the nearest conquered colony. No flags. Just supplies." "Yes, Commander." She lingered a moment longer, watching as the last of the wounded slept in peace under Terran care. The war had ended, but the example had only begun. The battlefield had gone quiet. For the first time in centuries, every major fleet in known space was still. No demands. No gunfire. Only the faint, rhythmic pulse of emergency beacons drifting through the debris field. The Thunder-Soul moved slowly between fractured hulls, her running lights dim, her voice channels silent. Rescue drones continued their sweeps, pulling survivors from shattered lifeboats. On the bridge, Commander Riacor watched the operation unfold with a composure carved from exhaustion. "Final recovery complete," Lieutenant Asher reported. 24 million civilians relocated. Medical response sustained across conquered sectors. No hostilities detected. "Then the doctrine holds," Kor replied. "Silence after fire. Precision after chaos." He hesitated before adding, Council fleets have withdrawn to neutral orbit. They've begun drafting joint reconstruction policy. Let them write, she said softly. Words will take them longer than we did. For a moment, the bridge felt almost peaceful. The hum of the ship was low, its systems throttled to minimum power. The great machine of war had become a hospital, a carrier, a monument, retention spike. Victory ends when vigilance sleeps. Commander, came the voice of the sensor chief cutting through the stillness. We're reading anomalous signal patterns beyond the rim relay. Core frowned. Origin? Outer sector, unmapped space. Range 42 light hours. Type? Unknown. Not conquered. Not Terran. Pulse frequency irregular. Amplitude rising. Core moved to the console. The display showed a waveform repeating every 6 seconds. Too deliberate to be noise, too steady to be natural. Attempt translation, she ordered. Already running. Nothing in databases. No harmonic language correlation. The signal repeated again, then doubled, split, tripled. The amplitude spike filled the sound field, vibrating through the bridge deck. What's the power output? Core asked. Unknown. If it's local to the rim, it's massive. If it's further, unimaginable. The hum grew louder, the waveform building into a steady rhythm. 3 distinct pulses, evenly spaced. It felt less like a message and more like a heartbeat. Asher exhaled. Commander, it's not random. It's scanning. Confirm. He nodded grimly. The vector's shifting. It's sweeping the mapped sectors. Retention microspike. Something old has noticed silence and wants to break it. Project coordinates, Core said. Overlay against historic exterminator activity. A map unfolded in light. The pulse intersected a long-abandoned region labeled Sector 19K, an old council graveyard where exploratory fleets had vanished generations ago. Varys's transmission broke through seconds. Later, voice tight. Commander Core, our sensors register the same anomaly. It's targeting your position. Our position? Yes, the pulse strength doubles with every cycle. It's triangulating on your fleet. The bridge lights dimmed automatically as sensor filters overloaded. Static crackled across comms. Background radiation spiked. Shield frequencies? Core asked. Stable for now. But this isn't energy in any known band. It's gravitational modulation. Like something pulling on space itself, she straightened. Alert all custodians, full readiness but hold fire. We don't provoke ghosts until they speak. Across the dark, the 73 custodian ships shifted formation, linking fields to form a massive lattice. Power arcs flowed between them, faint blue veins against the black. Signal strength rising exponentially, Asher reported. If it keeps doubling, saturation in 7 hours. Core's voice remained steady. Then we have 7 hours to understand what's coming. On the far side of the void, the pulse changed. The 3 beats became 4. The frequency narrowed, closer, clearer, like a voice testing its range. Then came a burst of data. Unreadable symbols, recursive patterns, something alive inside the code. The translation AI froze. Error logs stacking. What's it sending? Asher asked. Core read the decoded fragment appearing line by line across her console. Reclaiming phase begins. The air on the bridge seemed to thin. Even the ship's systems hesitated before returning to idle hum. Outer rim exterminators, Asher whispered. The legends were true. Core didn't look up. Legends are just early reports no one survived to finish. Varys's voice cut in again. Commander, what do we do? She turned to face the viewport, her reflection framed by the dying starlight of the battlefield they'd just buried. We remember what restraint is for, she said. Not peace preparation. Retention spike. The wolf lifts its head again. Transmit the signal data to every world, Core ordered. No secrecy, no delay. Humanity doesn't hoard warnings. Yes, Commander. Outside, the void shimmered. For a fleeting instant, the stars bent, as though something vast and unseen was passing behind them. Then the pulse ceased. Silence returned, but it no longer felt like peace. Core stood at the viewport, the reflection of the twin suns glinting across her uniform. Doctrine of response remains active, she said quietly. And the galaxy has one more lesson to learn. Beyond the rim, unseen, something answered with a single pulse, low. Patient, final. The bridge lights dimmed to red alert. The Thunder-Soul turned its prow toward the dark.